Hey YouTubers, Chris Petrocchi here, and today I'm going to talk to you about drawing the ear. So without further ado, let's get started.
Alright, let's get into this. So, the ear is quite a little complex organ on the body. And so what I found worked for me was that I just memorized the parts finally, because I had to correct a lot of ears throughout the years and draw a lot of ears, and so it just became obvious to me that I should commit this to memory, and so that might help you too. So if we kind of break down the ear, you can think of it as something like the letter C, right, with a Y inside, letter Y, okay? Or you can think of it as a letter C with another letter C in it, and then a little bump right there. So those are the major moves in the anatomy of the ear. This one is a little bit more cartoony, okay, so you could use it like that. So it could be, you could think of it as a letter E and then a letter C, something like that, or the letter C with a Y inside. It's a little bit more realistic, with a bump right there. So you've got letter C, you've got the letter Y, and then you have like a little bump, okay? That's called the tragus right there, this thing. So let us kind of move on here and draw the ear from, the side, the front, and the back, okay? So you can chunk in the ear kind of like this. The first time I did it, I used smooth curves, right? So you're going to have this first third is the helix and anti-helix. The middle third is going to be where the concha of the ear is. That's the opening, okay? And then the last third is going to be just the cartilage right here in the earlobe right there, okay? So that idea of the letter Y, okay, I would just take this Y, come out, hit the bump of the tragus, anti-tragus, and that's it. Okay, so let's do that again. I'm going to take these lines out of here. Bring up another layer. Okay, so we've got this letter C with a letter Y inside, kind of like that. There's a bump here, and then there's a bump there. And then here is where the actual ear hole is. And there, the bowl of the ear contains the ear hole, okay? And this helix and anti-helix, okay? This has a thickness here around the outer edge of the ear, that helix. And
how do you create the best
there's a little
service for your
dip-de-doo right
customers?
there. Okay, so this right here, it's usually there's a little depression right there. Okay, and there is a dark depression here, dark value, where the folds of the helix and anti-helix interlock. This tapers in, okay, and then there's that, basically the ear hole there. And of course, ears come in all different shapes and sizes, right? Some are going to be long and thin, some are going to be a lot more circular, so some will be, a lot longer and thinner. Some will be a lot more round, right? See with the letter Y inside. Some will have a big earlobe, okay? And some are going to have, no earlobe at all and just taper right into the jaw, basically. By the way, I'm drawing and painting in Art Rage, so it might be challenging, but I'll definitely get through it. I've got the edge of the earlobe. It's kind of like a tube, so I'm going to just put a modeling tone on it so it turns away from us, and it appears to turn away from us, and this is going to go inside. And then we've got a little shadow down here. And then we can just lighten this stuff up a little bit. Let's see if we can do that. That's too light. Okay, right there. So just put a little kind of a highlight in certain areas, just to kind of get this thing to turn a little bit. So once you memorize some of these basic moves, the ear's not going to be a problem for you anymore. And that's going to be a relief, let me tell you, because ears, if you're struggling with them, you don't have to. That's the good news here. And so the ear sits, basically, its orientation, it sits behind the jaw. So the jaw is here in front, and the ear sits behind the jaw, okay? If it was in front of the jaw, your ears would be flapping every time you talked, right? So you don't want that. There's the jaw. Okay. And the ear is kind of like a little, you can think of it as maybe like a slice off of a tube, maybe. Think of this as like a tube. And if you sliced off the end here, that's supposed to be a slice, and you would get, you could get something like an ear out of that. So it has a thickness here, right? So it's thick. And that brings up, well, how do you draw the ear from the top or the bottom? Basically, simply, I just think of the ear, if I'm drawing from the top, I draw like that kind of slice there. This turns in. I make this part thicker than this part. So this part's a lot thicker, and it kind of sells the illusion of you're looking down on the ear. Okay, and if you're looking up, then I just do the exact opposite. So I draw my kind of C, or even like a letter D, and I just make this part, the bottom part, a lot thicker than the top part. And that gets me started, gets me kind of in the ballpark. And so this, I could probably even do it even more. and it might even have a bottom plane that you'd see more of. Okay, and so this is if you're looking up on this thing. Okay. So that could help with that. All right, so let's take the ear from another angle. Let's take it from the front. All right. See if we can handle that. What is my tool here? So I'm just gonna put on some value here. No, let's not do that. I'll show you here. Okay, so from the front, you've got the angle of the head right in there, okay? And the ear is going to come off that at an angle, at about the same angle. Okay, so it's gonna come out like that. Real simple, like a disc. Okay, almost like a letter D, an italicized letter D right there. Okay, and then it's going to connect right to the side of the head. So I'm going to have the tragus right there. Okay, and it's thick, and it's going to turn under. That's going to be in the first third, the upper third of the ear. Oops, reset that. Okay, and then, so we've got the helix, which is the outer edge of the ear that has that thickness. And then out of that comes the anti-helix, which a lot of times overlaps the back part of the ear right there. So it overlaps, and that gives it that sense of depth. And then it comes back in, swings back in, forming the two characteristic bumps of first the tragus, then the antitragus, which makes up the cartilage of the ear. So let's maybe try that again in case it wasn't so clear. So let's back up a little bit. You have that part of the anti-helix overlapping the back rim of the ear, then forming its thickness, completing the tragus, and the antitragus completing the concha, that inner part of the ear. And so we've got this tapering into the ear, and we've got the ear hole right in here, and this area is the conch of the ear. It's like the bowl of the ear. Right, so that'll tend to be darker. And a lot of times what I look for in the ear is just that, what's really cool is when you see the ear that's backlit and the light is doing kind of a subsurface scatter thing. It's entering into the tissue, the cartilage of the ear, and just lighting it up. Sometimes it looks like fire. I'm sure you've noticed that. If you haven't, look for it. It's really, really cool. You just see almost pure orange or pure pink, depending on the light source behind it. And that's really cool. Okay, ear from the back. I'm going to draw this more. You can kind of think of the ear from the back as almost like an infinity, right? It comes around and goes this way. So roughly it's like an infinity. Okay, and it has a thickness, right? And in here is the bowl of the ear, right? Connects to the head. It's just like a disc or a cylinder. This is dark in here, right? And something like that. You can think of it like that. That's kind of how I like to think of it. So you've got this thickness here all along the edge of the ear. Kind of can thicken up at the bottom. And then there's the bowl of the ear, or the conchas, right there connecting to the side of the head. And let's make room for that bowl. That bowl is right in here. And then we've got the top of the bowl, ear connecting to the head. And sometimes you can see little folds of skin there. Okay. Some hair here. And then sometimes you can see little parts of the anatomy and stuff, just like a little V shape right there. You might see it. Remember the way everything fits in, like the way the ear fits into the side of the head. If you can get it to fit in convincingly, your drawing will be that much more convincing to others. Okay, the way the connections happen, the way things fit together. If you can sell that idea, your drawing will be, in a much stronger kind of position to convince people of what it is.
How do you create the best service for your customers?
We don't often see the back of the ear, so it's a little tricky to draw, right? You gotta kind of get used to it somehow. And by drawing it over and over, repetition, my friend, is the best. Or it might even just be the side of the head and something like that. It's like you see the back part of a disc, and so it's a bit thicker. Or maybe you don't even see, you see the opposite way, where this is part of the disc and then connects to the head this way. Okay, something like that. That's from the back. Okay, so you're going to see all kinds of different types of ears. Some are going to be long, narrow, lots of earlobe. Something like that, right? So if you memorize it, it's a lot quicker to draw some of the stuff. Some are going to be really wide out like that. right? With no earlobe right there, okay? And that's fun. I mean, so you can use this method to draw realistic ears or cartoony ears. Less information you put in there will be cartoony. The more will tend to be more realistic. Might even get into some fantasy, kind of pointy ears too. So I think it's one of those things, just commit it to memory, and it will come under your control. You will tame the ear and it will yield to you every time. So that's about it. We really covered a lot. We did the ear from the side, the front, and the back.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial on drawing the ear. Remember to like and subscribe and leave some comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And not only that, but click the bell so you don't miss a thing. Right? Until next time, keep on drawing.